Hello everybody, it's me Lisa with Our Journey. Um, I have had some issues the last couple of days, just dealing with the dark night of the soul, if any of you guys are familiar with that. It's just struggles and whatnot that tends to take you down sometimes, and you gotta just pick yourself up and keep going. I'm not gonna tell you what the Dark Night of the Soul is. You can check it out with Michael Murdad. There's a book. It's I'm Not Crazy, I'm Just Waking Up, and then there's other books. I think there is one that's called The Dark Night of the Soul, and it has to do with just the revelations in our own life, and it's like in the Bible and stuff. They talk about revelations, and it's not going to happen like that. That's the tale of one man in his own revelation. And if you go to the other revelations that was also looked at as being chosen for the Bible, it speaks of a more mystic and beautiful and magical way of being. And it wasn't so scary and less fire and brimstone. And so the people that were putting the Bible together didn't think that was scary enough for people. So they chose the other one. Enough about that. I'm not throwing rocks at anything. It's just when you start seeing the truth, nothing else matters. It doesn't. And so that's where I'm at, and whatever. The reason why I'm texting today, my brain is still kind of tragedy. My cat died. But her cat died. He was a member of the family, and so I don't know. My ex-husband used to laugh at me because I'd take animal deaths, so serious. I'm like, well, how's it not serious? It was a life just like yours or mine. Just because they couldn't talk and they had fur didn't mean that it was less. And Buster, he was a great cat. He dealt with a lot, an autistic son, two rowdy boys, and just years of me and my ex fighting. And so there was a poor cat, got to see a lot of drama. And so, I'm glad that I could be there with him, even though, the family's no longer in a married household unit. They're still there, and so I let them know about it, and they were thankful that I was there with Buster when he was drawing his last breath. I can't really get into a lot of it because it still makes me cry, but the reason why I went ahead and decided to document something today was because he died on the 14th, and it's I think the 16th or 17th. I don't know. It seems really weird because this week's really flown by. It's like that. I feel it. They call it the cosmic speed up. Great cosmic speed up. And that's what it's like. It's like, wow, it seems like it was just Friday, and now it's Friday again. Where was I? Was I in a coma? What happened? But we're going to experience that more and more. It's just time just leaping ahead. And that's kind of the way I feel, but there was a lot of really interesting things. My cat, he suffered, and I was like, God, if I would have known, I would have got him a shot. But God's like, no, you needed to witness that. He didn't want to go out foggy-brained. And so he suffered. He cried and wailed. And I held him and I cried and I told him it was okay and I loved him. And I was blessing him and talking to God the whole time. And it felt like just my heart was hurting. Just over the loss of Kitty. And it's such a painful experience. Just the depth of the tears, the crying. It's almost like you're shedding everything. Just I guess you could say ugly cry. Just like you're everything just melting. But during this time, I felt my heart, it just felt like what people would say, oh, my heart feels so broken. There was something going on with my heart, and there was sad. It felt sad, felt a lot of heart energy going on, emotional, deep. And he was in my arms. I was holding him, rocking him. When his body tensed up and that one last breath escaped, it was all over with. He was relieved and I was relieved. I cried. I kissed him between the ears. And it's funny because over time, I had forgot, but he would always go like this to you, And I was like, oh, hey, Buster, But what I had forgot is when he was a kitten, when he was getting to know all of us, and, he'd go up with his head, and everybody would kiss him between the ears, right here on his head. And he was the only one that remembered that. We forgot. Until he was in my arms. Last 5 hours of his life, I remembered. Every time I thought of it, I kissed him between his ears. Like I was going to make up for lost time. He wasn't sore about it. He's like, now you know. And Buddy kept coming up. I was like, what? It's okay, Buddy. And I'm petting him and loving him. And I was like, why am I calling him Buddy? I've never called him Buddy. And moments before he died, he goes, my name was Buddy. But the ex-husband had a dog named Buddy. And you heard the buh. And it ended up Buster. Because when me and my, it seemed like when people were cuddling that he would try to get between them. So his name was Buster. Buster Butt. But there, the last few minutes, he told me his name was Buddy. And it's okay. And he didn't mind being called Buster. And the whole time I'm crying, just realizing lost time. This cat's communicating with me as he's leaving. And And I look into his eyes, are so wide open and dilated, where he's hurting, and but I didn't see Buster. It was like I was witnessing the body and not the being. He had left the body before the body died. But something happened, and, God told me, the reason, that you're seeing this and both of you are feeling this, because I was like, please, just, I don't know if I can handle it. And God was like, hang in there. You're gonna get it. You're gonna see. And after he was gone, I had to put him in a bag and all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, what was I supposed to learn from that? And I was screaming and crying out. And it wasn't until the next day when I started breathing and my heart wasn't hurting so much. But it felt like my heart was bruised, And what I'm getting, and I'm still not quite sure what it amounts to, but what I'm getting is that there was something that when Buster was crying out and I was holding him and I was crying with him, that there was a doorway that was opened. Kind of, they're showing me like when you achoo, and that our chakras are blasted open in those moments, and in that moment, the chakras blasted open. He departed, and it was like he used my heart as the doorway, almost like the needle, the eye of the needle, and I'm seeing all this, stuff, but only through me, you see. And I hear, that what Jesus was saying, and so I think Buster passed through my heart center into the next world, is what I'm being shown. Which is, I've never noticed that before, and wasn't really sure what it meant, or why it should be something new. But the way things are panning out, there's a lot of new stuff happening that we don't really know for sure what's going on, but just, I'm going to put my faith in God, because, well, He knows. He knows what's happening. But I looked at the serendipity of the whole situation. I was wearing a pink shirt. It was for breast cancer awareness. And it said Instant Karma on it. And that was over a race, a team, drag racing team that was called Instant Karma. But considering everything spiritual that I've gone through and learning and karma, and the Buster started, I didn't think he was going to make it to 5 o'clock p.m. On that day, and that was the 13th of February when he started dying. And so there's the 13. And then it wasn't until between 2:13 and 2:08. Well, I looked at the clock at 2:18. when he passed. I'd held him. I was waiting for him to jerk some more or something, make sure. But he didn't, and I just held him. So I think I held him for maybe another 3 minutes after. So it's between 2:13 and the time I saw the clock, which the numbers were 2:18. And that's 11. That's a master number. And then it was Valentine's Day. 2:18 in the morning, Valentine's Day. And the whole heart and love. And after that, it was another thing that happened was my shoulder. You know, I had injured my shoulder years ago, and the factory I used to work in, you know, I'd come home all, you know, broken up and feeling bad, and yeah, it wasn't meant for humans. It was hard. You know, it was be nice to work the weekend but never go back. It was hard on the body, and yeah. Anyway, so after he passed and stuff, I came out. It was like all of a sudden my shoulder locked up, like all the lube, you know, in my socket just dried up, you know, to where it was just, you know, and it was so painful. It was like just, I don't know. It just, I asked Mom, I'm like, Mom, how is your shoulder? Yeah, because the weird thing is, since I've showed up, you know, here at the house, Mom is empathetic, and she feels things, you know, like it's hard for her to go to hospitals and things like that. And, but since I've been here, it's like I'm picking up on her pain. And it's like I'm having phantom pains. And I'm like, Mom, you know, my thumb's hurting. And she said, well, my thumb's hurting too. But the weird thing is that it's not the same thumb. You know, it's this thumb, but on her hand it's this thumb. It's almost like we're standing in front of a mirror. And I was like, oh. And she's like, oh. You know, but I asked her, I was like, you know, is your shoulder hurting? And she goes, no, not really. But that was where I was holding Buster, when I kissed him on his little head. And so, you know, there's chakras and all that, and there's a lot of this that I'm not going to understand right now. But it's slowly, you know, little bits and pieces are coming through, just a serendipity of how it is, and the divine serendipity. And so, although, you know, I'm not in a really good place right now, I just didn't want to let any more time pass, because there's, you know, things, you know, like the shirt, wearing the Instant Karma shirt, that didn't, you know, dawn on me until today, you know, and it just seems like it was all meant to be. And he was on a pillow with flowers on it. And it's like I hear an echo saying, yeah, I was in another life. I died in a field of flowers. And it was so peaceful. And so he wanted to be on that pillow, you know, that was his flowers. And after he passed, the other cat took that pillow, and now that's her pillow. She was with him the whole time too, right up to the end. It was as if she knew when he'd get up and have to cry out and stuff, she'd get up, and then he'd shortly get up and try to meow and move. And it's just, it feels different without him. But another thing is I've had this, it was like a bug bite on my arm. Like I don't know, around here it's like bugs and stuff, they tend to like bite you and it ends up like this big massive sore. But this one here, it was like, it started itching, like, I don't know, just, I wasn't paying attention and I'd scratched the scab off. And I went to wipe, like, thinking I was going to be bleeding, but it wasn't bleeding. And I got to looking at it, and, it's shaped like a triangle. And I was like, well, that's weird. But in a way, I kind of feel like it all means something, because if I'm holding him like that, here is right here, it's like, what did I witness? I'm not sure. But it's all there. It's just trying to figure out what all it was that I witnessed. And the after, let me think. After about maybe an hour, I was sitting in the other room with my mom and just kind of blubbering quietly to myself. And it was like all of a sudden I felt this kind of one of those, like somebody just kind of plopping down on the couch beside you. But this big, massive, I'm 5 foot. And so this massive person, or it just seems like this big energy. It kind of, I keep getting like a pirate energy, like a big, burly kind of guy. But I don't see a face or anything. Just, I kind of sort of see those weird boots, and I don't know. It all of a sudden, and it was all of a sudden was like this presence just there, and kind of did one of these, but of course I can't see anything. But I just noticed that they were there. And then it kind of, my thoughts were elsewhere. And then I was thinking or doing or talking about Buster, and then all of a sudden that presence was there again. And I don't know. I didn't notice the presence before Buster passed, but it's there now. I don't feel a kitty energy. I feel this large male presence. And I was like, what is this? Yes. Because right before Buster died, I was being told it had to be done this way to where the karma was complete. And I was like, what? Do animals have karma? And then all of a sudden I was flashed back to this past life that I only had a glimpse of. And I see myself reaching down into this big lion, mane and long black arm, very long and willowy. Like a very tall, I don't know, aborigine or something, because I see the trees, the ones that have like, they're flat, you know, they kind of grow, but they're flat and tall. And I'm looking and I see like a small village. And see, that came to me, that vision of that past life came to me a couple of years ago when, I don't know, something just came over me. I was wondering, I wonder if I ever touched a lion. And then all of a sudden I was in this past life where I'm putting my fingers into, you know, through the hair, the mane of this lion. But he's laying there, and there's no response when I touch him, and I'm holding a spear. But there's a connection between that person that I am in that life and that lion. But I don't know. It's like I look at the village, so I don't know if I killed the lion because of the village, or the village killed the lion. I'm not sure, but for some reason, when I was asking about the energy, it was like I was brought back to that village when I asked about the karma. And so I don't know if Buster was that lion or what exactly. But then I used to have a dream of seeing a man. I was under a tree with a man, and all I could see was his nose. And it was almost like the bridge was like a lion nose. But it was a human, you know, he had the eyebrows, but it was just he just had this lionish look. And so all these things are just kind of all coming together, little bits and pieces, and it's like a collage of something, and I don't know what it is, but it's all tied to all that. And sometimes it doesn't matter if we quite understand it just yet. You know, it's on some level I know exactly what happened. And that's all I need to know, and it all filtered down once I'll put away. It's supposed to be in presentation, but yeah, God said that I would learn, you know, through that it was a big lesson, a big learning lesson. A lot was happening then. And so I just cried and held him and trusted and went through it. But that presence, it's not, I'm not afraid of it. It almost feels like it picked up another guide. And then it's like shapeshifter keeps coming to mind. And like, what? Now? Yeah, it's like, shapeshifter. I don't know. But I'm open to God and my guides, and if they tell me that Buster was a shapeshifter and I have this humanoid type energy that comes across as a pirate, I don't know, I kind of feel, I don't know, maybe my human family come from shrimpers, people that were on the water, and so it just, when I get energies that, or past life things that in relation to water, and kind of perks my ears, so to speak. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what this is, but I guess maybe Buster was a pirate in past life. I don't know. See how it pans out.